Welcome to a very exciting episode of the We Are All Dying podcast. I'm Jenna Goodhand, and I am so excited that I have my friend Krista Ovenel with us today. And this is a face and a voice that you probably know, actually, if you've been in the death world. But if you don't, you're going to hear a lot from her because I somehow got her to want to hang out with me more than once. And so she's going to be coming back and we're going to be answering your questions, sharing in conversations with you. And this is the first time that we're going to do this together because we have just collaborated on something so exciting. It's coming up this Sunday, April 26th. It's called Death Stories. And you may or may not have an idea of what that is, but we're going to share with you what it is. And we hope that after you listen today, you share this episode, you join us, you register, you get some pals, and you let people know that there's a space for them to share the death story. So
And you come and hang out.
come and hang out with us. We want to hang out with you. So thanks for hanging with us today. We're going to get into the what, why, how, when. Did I miss any W's, Chris?
Where? Oh, yeah. And then the H. Now, yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Let's do it.
Of death stories. So I have to give you the credit. You were the one who came to me and said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" So do you want to kind of share how this came to be for you?
Absolutely. Okay. So I remember you said once I like collecting things and I like collecting people. I love just when I spark with somebody. And from the very first time I met you, Jenna, I was like, wow, what a spark. And so I had been turning this idea over of a space, a place, a community that gets it when we're talking about what happens when you die. You know that I am pretty crazy about talking about what happens when you die from a very, very practical perspective. And I really believe that we should talk about death to make it a more normal part of life, right? That's just like what I'm doing out there all the time.
Yeah.
But one thing that I know from my work as an end of life doula is that when somebody is present when someone dies, it's a very transformative experience. It's often similar to witnessing a birth in that it is like this, there is a profundity that may not be expected, right? And then what happens is we're a pretty death-denying society, and the person who has been present at a death,
Yeah.
they kind of go off into the world. And not only is the world just moving on with all of a sudden their person not in it, that's sort of the insult. And the injury is that they often don't know or have anyone that they can talk to about what they've experienced.
Yeah.
And so I hear a lot of death stories. I'm a death doula, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, what if we made a place for community? Like that's what we're missing in the world anyway. A place where nobody's selling anything, a place where we're trying to talk about death so that we can live a better life. And I was like, I bet Jenna's gonna get this. And you did, right? Remember how many times I said, do you think this is totally nuts? And you were just like, what?
But I want to go to this. Like, this is
Yeah,
an event I would want to go to. So let's do it.
let's do
I
it.
forgot to mention, like, your years of commitment to this space. As a community-based death educator, funeral director, embalmer, like, you have probably heard a lot of death stories. Did you find in those spaces people felt like they could tell you those stories?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I've sort of over the years I've been kind of like I note it. And recently it's been accelerating a little bit, people and I hear the same things from people. I hear things about the words are usually I didn't expect it to be so. Now the word that comes after so can change a little bit, but it usually is something like um, impactful or um, it changed me. I didn't expect it to be so quiet. I didn't expect it to change the room the way it did. I was changed. That's what I hear over and over again. And
Wow.
then people said, tell me, I feel so weird. I can't talk about this with my friends. I don't want to be
Mm.
like that weird person or morbid or whatever. I've heard people say, I didn't know how beautiful my mother would look, for example. I've heard people say, his skin became so translucent. He had been so, gray and unwell for so long, but the moment he died, there was like a transcendence that came over him. And they're stunned and they're amazed. Now, Jenna, I gotta level with you, like, because of my work as both a funeral director and an end-of-life doula, I also hear about unexpected deaths
Yeah.
and things that are very traumatic
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
difficult. And I'm in no way trying to suggest that this sort of peaceful, transformative, really like beautiful experience is
Mhm.
something that no,
Yeah.
that's not what happens for everyone, and I get that. But what I want to do is like make a container for those people for whom that was their experience and who feel
Yeah.
like they weren't able to talk about it, right?
And you know what, Krista? Like, it's really got me thinking, like, there are other areas in our life where we sort of have an experience that maybe we feel like we can't share because it was good. And like,
Yeah,
and so you're kind of like afraid, almost this like shame of privilege or access to something that you know other people haven't had, or you don't know because we don't talk about it.
because we don't talk about it.
Yeah. And so you have this transformative experience that changed you, and it just kind of sits with you. And so this idea of sharing death stories allows us to, be in a group with other people who are sharing that. So yeah, for those of you who are listening and you're thinking, oh, I would love this. Great, come. It's free, and we're doing it every single month. What we're gonna do is we're all gonna come together. We're gonna have a special guest speaker every month. This month we have Darnell
Oh
Lamont
my God.
Walker. Oh, amazing. Amazing. So excited. And he's going to start us off by sharing a death story. And then we're going to be, put into groups with one another, and we're going to listen. We're going to listen to the story. Do you want to share some of the things we are not going to do?
Well, sure. I'm going to start with the easy stuff. We're not going to record this.
No, no
We're
recording.
we're
Mm-mm.
not going to come with our cameras off.
Mhm.
We're not going to have this on while we're doing dishes or doing something else or filing our taxes or whatever. We are coming together to be in community and to share together. So sign up if you can come and if you can come live because now and don't worry if you miss it this time, that's okay. We're going to keep doing this and there'll be different storytellers, right? We're not going to turn this isn't a grief circle. Neither you nor I are trained or can properly facilitate a grief circle. Grief circles are important and wonderful. And yes, death is death work is grief adjacent work, but this is not a grief circle. This is a you can share how the experience and what happened and feelings that you had. Some of them may be griefy, but this isn't specifically a grief circle, a place to come and talk about that. It's a place to share your experience about what happened when you were with somebody who died. And I want to make that net a little bit wider too. Do you know something that is super common, Jenna? And I always ask people when I'm working with people in advance, which is kind of my main thing actually. I always ask them, how do you feel about being alone at the end of your life? Do you want somebody with you all the time? Or do you feel like you'd kind of like people to continue on? Do you want them to go home and get their rest or whatnot? Should you, if you do want somebody around you all the time, should you maybe think about hiring a doula or putting together, like getting someone to put together a volunteer roster or what have you? And the reason that I ask this question is that I think there are so many of us who actually want to die alone. And because we don't think about this stuff, that might be like, what? No, no, nobody wants to die alone. No, actually, a story that I hear all the time, like multiple times a day, is, oh my God, we were all together. We were there for 6 days or a couple of weeks or 7 hours and we never left the room. And then at one point, just by chance, all of us were gone. We came back and mom was dead. I hear this all the time. And usually people are crying when they're telling me that. And something that I've been able to share with folks is that your mom needed you to leave the room.
Yeah.
Actually, she wanted to be alone. She's probably a lifelong caregiver who didn't want to upset you.
Right?
Sometimes people need to be alone when they die.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure that people know who are listening to this that if you fall into that category, if you were present at the end, but maybe not at that exact moment, and
Hmm.
you want to share that story,
Yeah.
come,
Yeah.
come.
I love that. And you know what? Like, so right now I'm with Krista in her end of life doula foundation course, and it's amazing. And we share so much. And one thing that I'm just thinking in this moment is that, if you're listening to this and maybe you aren't, quote unquote, in death work, but people who work in palliative, hospice, funeral directors, like these people that you may know in your life, you may not realize that they also want a place to share, and they probably have lots of stories, and you don't have to name the person, right? Like you can just come and say, I was working with someone, or there was this situation. It doesn't have to necessarily be, a family member, a friend. It can just be you were there when this happened, and it feels important to share that story.
Yeah. Did I forget any of the things we're not going to do, Jenna?
We're not going to interrupt. We're not going to give advice. We're not going to judge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? I think, it's just showing up for each other.
We're not going to go longer than an hour.
We're not,
It's going to be a
yeah.
tight hour.
Yeah.
We're going to come together and listen
Yes.
in ways that are pretty special. It's incredible what you can do in
Mhm.
10 minutes. It's incredible the connection that you can
Yes.
make when you're willing to talk about things that really matter in a
Yeah.
short period of time.
Absolutely. Krista, this is so exciting. I can't wait to get this out there. People
I
listening.
can't wait.
If you do hear this and it's past April 26th, not to worry. We're doing
Not
this
to
the
worry.
last Sunday of every single month. So come again. And then if you know somebody and you're like, this person needs to be the featured, storyteller, like let us know.
Yes.
We want to know all of them.
Yes, I want to know all of them, and I just can't wait to hear Darnell's death story live like this. And again, remember, nothing is recorded. We are all together. It will be it may be a group that we're seeing all around us. We might even have a couple of screens to look at everybody potentially.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure how big or how small this will be. But then there will be some very small work where we'll be just together with each other. And that's going to be very, very special.
Oh,
So
I'm so
come.
excited. Thank you, Krista, for inviting me to this. And thank you, everyone who's listening, tuning in to the We Are All Dying podcast. And we'll be talking about deathy, griefy things soon.